Today we're going to be cooking this gorgeous stew with a deep, rich flavour and one very unusual ingredient. If you want to learn what that is, then keep watching. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to make a stew, but it's not going to be with a normal piece of meat as you would expect. Now, probably many of you don't regularly cook with things like kidneys, livers, hearts, but that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to make a very tasty stew with lamb's hearts. Now, it's a piece of meat that does need a long, slow cooking time, but it's worth it because the flavour you get at the end of it is very intense and tasty, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Anyway, let me know in the comments below if you've cooked with hearts before, or if you've ever eaten them, or just what you think of the idea. And it'd be very interesting to see what the general view is out there. Anyway, time to get on. So first thing to do is show you the ingredients that are involved. Okay, so what we're going to be using today is we have got 900 grams of potatoes, 4 medium onions, 450 grams each of carrots and mushrooms, 900 grams of lamb's hearts, and then we have just there some thyme, bay leaves and garlic, 30 grams of flour, which we'll be using to dust the lamb with before we fry it. Then we've got here 400 millilitres of red wine, 900 millilitres of lamb stock, my trusty mushroom ketchup, which I've used before in recipes. It adds a very nice umami flavour to anything that you cook with it. And then, of course, salt and pepper, and we need a bit of olive oil for the browning. So let's get on with it. First thing that we're going to do is peel and quarter the potatoes and add them into the carrots. So, and while you're preparing the vegetables, you need to preheat the oven to 160 degrees centigrade or 140 if you're using a fan. So that's it. That's all of the potatoes done. So now we need to quarter these mushrooms, set them aside, ready for later. Okay, so there we are. So the mushrooms I washed before I started cutting them up. Put them out of the way. So what we now need to do is to finely chop up the onions. So, last one. Okay, so now we're going to set all that aside for the moment so that we can work on the lamb's hearts. That can go over there. Now, with the lamb's hearts, what we want to do is to take the fat off and just trim them a little bit. So you can see there's some there. Right, so that's all the fat taken off. What we're going to do now is chop them up into small pieces, and then in a minute we will dust them with flour and salt and pepper. So that's all the lamb's heart chopped up. What we're now going to do is we're going to put the flour into this bowl, and also we're going to add to that a good pinch of pepper, or two, some salt, and now we're going to toss the lamb's heart in that mixture in order to get all these bits coated. So there we are. That's pretty good. Okay, that's good. So now what we need to do is to put the meat into the oil and fry it. So let's just see if we got the oil up to temperature. Yes, that's good. So that can all go in. And now we're just going to fry that so it's nicely browned. So I put 2 tablespoons of olive oil in here. We're get started. I might need some more in a minute. We'll see. As you can see, this is browning up quite nicely. Okay, that's good. So now what I'm going to do is take that out of there and set it aside for a moment. Okay, that's good. And now we're going to put the onion in. And I'm going to need a little bit more oil in there. So it's another 2 tablespoons. Don't worry too much about the flour that's browned onto the bottom of the pan, because in a little while we'll be putting some red wine in and then we'll deglaze it. And that all adds to the flavour. So, that's it. Those onions could cook nicely. So now we can put in the mushrooms and some crushed garlic. And we're just going to let that cook for a minute or two. That's looking good. So what we're now going to do is add in the wine. And now I'm going to turn up the heat and let that bubble away for a few minutes. And then we should be able to deglaze the bottom of the pan as well. Okay, that's that pan nicely deglazed. Turn the heat down a little bit. That can just bubble away for a moment. Right, so what we're going to do now is put the meat back in. And then we're going to add in the thyme, bay leaves, also the potatoes and the carrots. And the one thing I did forget to mention in the beginning is we also need a tablespoon of tomato puree. So there we are, that's good. And finally, the lamb stock. So now we can give that all a good stir. And now I'm going to bring it just back to the boil, and then we'll put the lid on and we'll put that in the oven, which, if you remember, we preheated to 160 degrees. And the final ingredient is 2 tablespoons of my trusty mushroom ketchup. One and 2. That's it. Okay, there it goes. So let's put the lid back on. And now that can go in the oven. And that will stay in there now for the next 2 hours. So I'll see you back in 2 hours' time. Well, that's been 2 hours. So let's see what we've got. Well, that looks pretty good. Okay. So we just put some of that into a bowl. There we are. And I think what I'm going to do is have a bit of crusty bread. A bit of crusty bread with that. Okay, there we go. So the thing to do now is see what it tastes like. Okay, well, here it is. So soak up some of those nice juices. Oh, that is really very tasty. It's got a depth of flavour. Absolutely gorgeous. All I can recommend you to cook this yourself and just see what it's like. I think it's absolutely delicious. Anyway, put that to one side. So anyway, if you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.